Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. The European Union has reached a landmark decision by November 2027 that will completely phase out Russian gas imports, making a major pivot in the continent's energy strategy. LNG imports will be gone even earlier, by the end of 2026, while some pipeline gas may continue in certain countries until late 2027. To help us understand the technical, economic, and geopolitical implications of this shift, we're now joined by Sławomir Raszewski, Senior Oil and Gas Lecturer at the University of London. Good to have you back on TVP World.
Thanks for having me, Sasha.
I want to start with just the major challenges here. I mean, this is a landmark case and decision, maybe not surprising to some, but where do you see, let's say, the challenge in this? Where the alternatives come from? Do we have enough LNG sources? Is it going to be renewables? Is it going to be hydro? Where are the alternatives?
Yes, I mean, this is a landmark decision and indeed something that was probably waiting to happen. But what we currently see is that this is a political statement. So we shall see how this actually plays out in details. We know that the short and long-term contracts will be banned in 2006 and 2007. I mean, in the first place, the spot supplies will be banned. And ultimately, the pipeline supplies will be banned or effectively this ban will become effective from September 2027. So at the moment, the alternatives, if we can talk about alternatives, is Norway, Algeria, and LNG supplies from the United States. So this is, of course, the question of how the EU is going to, if you like, accelerate its energy transition. Because at the same time, with the bans, what is the policy? The policy is also trying to phase out, or indeed not only phase out natural gas from Russia, but also trying to switch to alternative sources of supply. So there's quite a bit of moving parts here, and but I see it at the moment as very much as a political statement, probably because of the criticism of the European Union owing to the war in Ukraine and the fact that the EU has continued to import natural gas from Russia throughout this conflict.
Mm-hmm. It sounds also, in terms of how this is going to actually eventually go down, is it's sort of a staggered approach. How does that influence and impact, if anything, price stability, markets? How is that going to all be connected here?
Well, the EU has for quite some time, for over 2 decades, emphasized the importance of reduction of dependence or reliance on imported natural gas from the East. Equally, Russia has also tried to, if you like, enhance its energy security of demand by trying to tap to alternative markets. But this move is likely to trigger increase in prices, because what is likely to happen is that contractual obligations will have to be swapped, will have to be moved to other suppliers. I mean, does it mean that the Russian gas, I mean, the molecules of Russian gas are going to disappear from the European market? It is probably unlikely. So we're probably going to see quite a bit of, if you like, contractual exercises to, to essentially not to agree with on supplies from Russia, but this gas is likely to ultimately find its way to the market. So we're probably going to see increases in prices in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Now, that increase in prices will meet with some resistance. And speaking of that, you mentioned earlier this is a political decision. Speaking of politics as well, and we've already heard in the last sort of 24 hours that the Hungarians, maybe no surprise, but they've literally said they're going to fight this at the highest level. Their foreign minister saying also, quoting here, saying that it's physically impossible to do this. Is that technically justified here? And then also, if this goes to the courts, which way is it going to sway?
Well, I mean, ultimately, there's a question of contracts. If contracts are in place, and of course, what basis would be used here to stop the supplies? I mean, we don't have a force majeure here. This is a political decision. So the question is, how it is going to happen? How it's going to be triggered? I think it's probably at this stage quite unknown. We don't know exactly what is going to happen, particularly when it comes to the peace process in Ukraine. And I think that if on part of the European Union, it's very much a political statement, and I would probably see it as such for the time being. And ultimately, we already seen the developments that peace talks between United States and Russia. So what is very worrying for the European Union is that the decisions about the conflict in Ukraine are being sort of taken above their heads. So this is probably the time when the EU decided to make this statement about the ban on imports of natural gas from Russia.
Mm-hmm. And also, I know last time we spoke about LNG in general, and also let's hone in on our region for a moment with Poland, also with the LNG terminals that are being constructed. I mean, there's already more work ahead of that in Poland. Tell us a bit more how much Poland's role will be critical in all this. I mean, especially for countries, for instance, like Hungary saying, well, we can't do it, but the Czechs are somehow doing it. So give us some lessons from our region, what they're going to be playing in the future of all this.
I mean, obviously, this region is much better diversified when it comes to supplies of alternatives. So, there is LNG option. Hungary doesn't have this option, and that's why Hungary is sort of fighting fiercely to keep those supplies by pipelines. The same goes for Serbia. But ultimately, this situation is going to have impact also on the LNG prices, because theoretically, if the importers in this part of Europe will then try and secure supplies by LNG, and of course, others will be competing for this very same LNG. So, yes, Poland is very well prepared because Poland has invested in LNG receiving terminals, so there's no question about that. That security of supply is there. But of course, the question is of the price, what the price is going to be. We shall see, because at the moment, this is a statement, and in parallel, we also have the peace talks which are ongoing, and we don't know exactly where it's heading and how it is going to play out when it comes to the European Union, European nations.
Mm-hmm. And on the subject there, you also touched on it as well, peace talks that are ongoing. I mean, the Russians themselves very much trying to make major overtures to the Americans. And one of these things I'm curious to get your opinion on. It's from, according to the Washington Post, that reports that there have been these major mega projects that have been floated, these undersea tunnels, also enticing the Americans to be part of it. ExxonMobil was a big player in Russia up until the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. How much, if anything, do you see this in play here? Do you think that Trump will be coaxed into this? Would the Americans even want to go back into the Arctic? I mean, this is obviously a big resource play, but what do you make of those kind of movements?
I mean, if you look at the people who are talking to each other during these talks, you also have Kirill Dmitriev on the Russian side, who is responsible for the business side. So I think that business is definitely part of those negotiations, but we don't know exactly what is being discussed. We don't have insight into this. This is not made public. We have only some leaks. But you rightly pointed that American super majors were present in the US, and they always saw Russia as a fantastic opportunity to tap to the frontier resources, in particular resources in the Arctic. And of course, that was back in 2014 when this relationship abruptly ended because of the conflict in Crimea. But we can imagine that companies are probably willing to do that, because when you think of the business model of international companies, they have to have access to resources, and Russia has plenty of resources. So I suppose that theoretically, if this peace agreement happens, then I wouldn't be surprised that what follows is all those large companies coming back to Russia and coming back to business as usual. I mean, this may sound very controversial, but this is likely to happen.
Mm-hmm. And also on the subject of coming back to Nord Stream as well, Nord Stream 2, I mean, there's talk as well. I mean, the Germans politically have said that they're not going to restart it. There's also this idea of the Russians, the Americans taking ownership, doing anything with that. What about that scenario? Do you see any kind of, let's say, return to that pipeline under different ownership?
At the moment, it is difficult because out of 4 lines, 3 are damaged and 1 is undamaged. So of course the question is to what extent this would suit the interests of the European Union. But I don't think at the moment in the where we are at the moment that there is appetite for starting these discussions. I mean, it will need to take some time before any such talks would restart. So at the moment I don't see this happening. But again, largely it is not really dependent. That's the sad part of this story. It's not really up to the European nations, as it seems, because these negotiations are being held between two actors only.
Right. So, but as we said, it's going to be another energetic round of things, as we said, getting the latest there. Really interesting discussion about the future of energy for Europe and the world. Thanks so much, Sławomir Raszewski. Always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sasha. Have a lovely day.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but stay tuned right here on TVP World for news and commentary. Goodbye.